Get over here!
Admittedly, one channel I love watching is Tampa Never Sleeps, because they hold, fighting game tournaments all the time in Tampa Bay. And, I think it's Tampa Bay, but anyway. They hold regular Marvel vs. Capcom 3 tournaments, which, I love watching because, in those tournaments, you got the classic teams, you got your Magneto Dooms, you got your, you got your, Morgan and Sentinel teams and all that, all the crazy stuff, and God knows Zero May Cry is a thing. Plenty of people who playing Zero May Cry. One of my favorite things about it, though, is that there's a few players, like Living Legend, who come in with teams that, are not necessarily as popular, but they still get work done with them. If you watch, oh gosh, I don't remember who the player is, but he has this really, really cool team that uses Chris Redfield. And, the team, I think, is, Chris Redfield, Wesker, and, I want to say, gosh, I don't remember, but just the fact that he has Chris on point and he gets work done is insane, and his anchor is Akuma, and his Akuma is just as good as Justin Long's, if you ask me.
Is Chris Redfield... Does he ever see competitive play? I don't feel like I've seen him in the, top tier teams.
Not often. People agree that Chris Redfield is a good character.
He's just not Virgil.
He's no Virgil or and that's the unfortunate thing about a lot of the characters in Marvel 3 is that there's not really too many characters in Marvel 3 that are bad. As a matter of fact, Phoenix Wright is the worst character in the game until he gets the turnabout and he's suddenly the best character in the game.
He's so fun though.
He is fun, and people want to use him, but again, a lot of it is consistency, and unfortunately, a lot of the characters just aren't consistent.
Yeah.
That doesn't stop people from trying their darndest to get some, really, really cool stuff, going with them, though. And that's unfortunately the death sentence with a lot of characters, Tronbon, actually has some good stuff. Nemesis even has some really good stuff.
Yeah.
Wesker has some really, really good stuff.
Spencer.
Oh my god, dude, you want to talk about consistency? Well, let's talk about Spencer for a moment.
Yeah.
Spencer, it sees so much competitive play. And the dude doesn't even have a level 3.
This is pretty old, but I can remember when Spencer first started showing up in tournaments and being kind of oh, hey!
A lot of it...
range command grab into
yep.
other people's combos.
If I recall correctly, one of the major reasons is that one player who put... Spencer on the map because he had that one comeback against Chris G, I believe, where he started using Bionic Arm, the super,
yeah.
and he used it 5 times to stage a comeback, and that solidified his position in competitive fighting games. Super, super cool, but also it's Jesus Christ, man. But what I was getting at, by the way, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to watch with Tampa Never Sleeps is ratio tournaments.
Yeah.
I love watching ratio tournaments because you get some crazy stuff that suddenly become viable. One of the best characters for ratio tournaments specifically is Arthur.
For the people at home who maybe don't know what that is.
Yeah, thank you.
And also I'll give you a second to think of what you're doing.
Nah, you're good. You're good.
So characters obviously have tier lists for fighting games of which ones are considered usually the best. A ratio tournament assigns points to each of them. Let's say assigns them 1 to 5 points, so the best characters get 5, the worst characters get 1. And then tells you okay, in this tournament you have to make a team of 3, but you only get 10 points to spend.
Yep.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
So if you want to take a really good character, you're also going to have to take a traditionally considered bad character.
Yeah.
Or you could take a bunch of more average characters, but it's a way of running tournaments and getting more characters in the mix.
Pretty much.
So that you can't just do Virgil Zero Morrigan or whatever.
Mm-hmm. No, again, arguably the greatest... or arguably the most powerful team ever in Marvel is Zero May Cry, which is Zero, Dante, and Virgil. It is, not everyone uses it, though, because it is an extremely high execution team.
Yeah.
But anyone who masters that is, basically, they're a legend in Marvel.
Yeah, then it's not even a fighting game anymore, it's bowling. You're, doing your own muscle memory
Pretty
and
much,
winning.
pretty much. When it comes to ratio tournaments, though, it always, it's super fun for me because like I see people using more Phoenix rights because like they have like actually the room now to protect Phoenix right to a competent level to try and get in the turnabout. I always love seeing Shenko because like one of the greatest strategies with Shenko is get her into golden armor and basically just have her do some Pubu assists. Deadpool shows up so much in Ratio because again he's consistent, just not Magneto. He's not Dormammu, you know?
Yeah.
Gosh, Dormammu.
Oh, I forgot Dormammu was in that game.
Dude, straight up, I'm so sick and tired of seeing Dormammu in tournament. Because, gosh, he's so prevalent.
Dormammu!
He has so many things going on with him, and it's just insane. And I'm like, I'm tired of hearing power of the, and then he summons meteors and volcanoes and is like, summon the power with the freaking, tracking, super orb, and is like, and like suddenly like going into like his shadow spell into burn to cinders, chaotic flame. If I have to hear that again, if I never have to go through the rest of my life again without having to hear that, it'll be too soon.
Marvel 3 came out when I was in college, and me and my roommates would like just kind of. It was a normal thing for us to do, like, Team Fortress 2, just, like, to speak almost entirely in TF2 quotes.
Yeah.
And after Marvel 3 came out, we were, like, doing that for a while. Just around
God,
yeah. We'd, like, one of us would be leaving, and we just, hidden missile! Farewell!
Oh my god. Dude, like, I think I've expressed this before, but, like, anyone who, like, I'm gonna recite something for y'all right now, right? Stop me if you've heard this one before when it comes to Ultimate Marvel 3. Off the ground launch, medium, foot dive. Off the ground launch, medium, foot dive. Off the ground launch, medium, foot dive. Super jump cancel into plasma beam plasma beam in the air into hyper photon array. And then you DHC into Virgil swords, and then you do the sword loops, and then more Virgil swords, and then you go into, and you just kill them.
I mean, while you were explaining that, I filed my 2023 taxes.
Oh my god, dude. I am so tired of seeing Doom combos. Change the record, Dr. Doom. I think you're an amazing character. I think you're a very powerful character and everything, and I love you, but gosh darn it, change the record. I never thought I'd get tired of seeing foot dives.
Here's the thing, though, fighting game fans, like, you love it. You love this BS.
I'm taking the piss right now, but I won't deny there's a mix of endearment and derision with it all. It's the same with, like, you know, you're tired of seeing Virgil in tournament because, like, Virgil is straight up busted. He's banned in ratio tournaments. Like, people can't use him. And that's just hilarious to me that he's so unbelievably overpowered that no one wants to use him, or like no one wants him in ratio tournaments because he's just that good.
I remember watching this Captain Falcon tutorial for Melee, where it's talking about his I think it's his fair, the knee.
Oh no, his forward air.
Yeah, that's forward air, not neutral air.
Neutral air is like that aerial double kick.
Yeah. So it was just talking about, like, combos with the knee. Combo 1, knee into knee. Combo 2, knee into knee into knee.
Yeah, and I know what you're talking about because, like, one of them is, like, you jump and then you hit the sour spot with the knee and then you immediately jump again into knee.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's another thing.
And
just
that the move is actually called the knee.
Mm-hmm. And I imagine, like, some people might be like, obviously, like, you know, Virgil can't be that bad. Like, no fighting game character is that bad, right? I can guarantee some of y'all, you've played Smash Brothers Brawl, and you know the nightmare that is Meta Knight.
Yeah, so, like, if you can think of a better one, let me know. But I feel like Brawl Meta Knight is one of the most infamously broken fighting game characters
Absolutely. Like, the thing is like, yeah, he doesn't seem as broken as someone like, say, Virgil, but that's, like, purely in the context of the grand scheme of things. In the context of Brawl, he might just be worse than Virgil.
Yeah. Just, like, for what they... The like, quick aphorism of Meta Knight is that, like, Super Smash Bros. Brawl is a slower game than Melee, where they slowed all the characters down and made them heavier, and Meta Knight plays like a Melee character.
He does.
In Brawl.
Yep, he does. And it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, there's a reason they nerfed him in Smash 4.
And even then, he's still fun. You can still do fun stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's just like
He got a tasteful nerf.
A lot of people admittedly, like, just got, like, so detached from Meta Knight in later games, specifically because he just did not feel like the same character he used to be.
Yeah.
But it's like, guys, did you really want Meta Knight to remain the same character he used to be in Brawl? No one wants that.
Like, all the same moves are there. It's just... It's just good now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a better game.
So, like, some other examples I can think of in regards to that is, like, another fighting game character I can think of that, like, was absolutely, like, busted for me personally is Marvel vs. Capcom 2 with Cable. Like, Cable, like, if you got full meters with Cable, you could literally chain 5 of his, like, projectile supers by, like, canceling it from a super jump every time. You can, like, combo 5 meters worth of supers with him, and it's absolutely insane. And he's just one of the best zoners in the game, period.
There's a lot of Marvel. There's a lot of Marvel 2 characters that I miss in Marvel 3 and Marvel Infinite, but I kind of get it because, like, the other problem with Marvel 2 had so many characters, but, like, there were a lot of clones. It was Cloney Island up there.
Was it?
Well, okay, not mechanical. There were a lot of palette swaps. There were a lot of characters that looked like each other in Marvel 2.
Okay, I can grant you that one at least.
I mean, the most egregious is a Boneclaw Wolverine.
Oh,
that
yeah.
I've never seen anybody be like, yeah, Boneclaw Wolverine. Like, everybody's like, that's stupid. But, like, just the Shotos alone, you had, like, Ryu, Ken, Akuma, Dan, I think Sakura was in there.
Sakura was in there, and so was Dan, yeah. There were a lot of Shotos in that game, now that you mention that.
You had both Guile and Charlie Nash being essentially the same... Mega Man and Roll weren't clones of each other, but their supers were.
Their supers were,
Same with Tron and Servbot.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, not entirely.
Not that I do get what you're saying though, and for all intents and purposes, like, again, not to the same degree, obviously, but I also do understand, like, the whole Wolverine thing. Like, for example, I'm gonna sound like sacrilegious to some people because I know y'all are diehard into this character sometimes, but I'm just gonna say it. Sabretooth was just worse Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like, honestly though.
There was Iron Man and War Machine.
Although, like, that one... Okay, yeah, they were similar.
They all come with caveats,
Yeah.
I grant you. Like, maybe not clones.
Yeah, of all the, like, clone characters, quote-unquote, I think that one's actually the least offensive because, yeah, like, War Machine did not play the same way that Iron Man did.
Like, we're in kind of, like, the realm of, like, Ness versus Lucas, kind of, like, very different. I guess there's less, now that I'm thinking about it, than there really are. I mean, I guess it's just all the Shotos.
It really is all the Shotos. There were, like, so many Shotos in,
That was Marvel 2's version of, like, anime sword wielder.
Pretty much.
In...
or, like, Smash Brothers sword wielder, in a way.
Yeah. Which I don't really have a problem with all the sword wielders in Smash Brothers.
Me neither, quite frankly.
But
like,
that's the meme.
Like, yeah, is it offensive? No, not really, but, like, we joke about it, but at the same time, as I like to say, there's truth in jest, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, some of us are admittedly a little bit tired of the sword wielders. I get it, you know?
I feel like as long as they can make characters feel different, I don't really mind if a lot of them have swords. Like, and if you're not a Fire Emblem fan, I definitely understand the burnout with how many Fire Emblem characters we got in Ultimate, but, like, Byleth and Corrin and Robin are all very different characters than Marth.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that forest right there. What I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to bait these guys into attacking, and once they're out of the way, I'm going to send Vanessa towards that Gorgon.
Cool. And
Or Mogul.
and Philly shield, so she'll
Yep,
be
so
fine.
she'll be protected from those archers. Glad we picked that thing up.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that looks like a good spot. Let's go right here. Let's actually equip with you with the Silver Blade. Or no, you don't have the Axe Reaver. Dang. Oh well. Do you? No, you do not. Yeah, I'm just gonna have Garrick do this. It's actually interesting you mentioned that whole thing about, like, oh, you can have similar characters but not have them play the same.
Yeah.
Recent development in Street Fighter, Ed just came out.
Yep.
Right? And, people are actually having a lot of fun with Ed. Shockingly. Me personally, I think he's awesome. Like,
Ed was introduced in 5, right? And he's like a protege to Balrog.
yeah, like, not a lot of people seem to like him, but yeah, like, he's like a Shadowloo experiment who got out, essentially, and now he's formed Neo Shadowloo, so to speak, to, sort of, like, help people, who have been, like, affected by Shadowloo to, like, basically get out. He's basically running, like, a refugee, like, organization for those who have, been affected by Shadowloo's, like, influence, which, honestly, really, really cool. Is he a jerk about it? Yes, but, is he, like, you know, working towards a good cause? Absolutely. So, cool. Good on you, Ed. But it's actually kind of funny, right? Because, like, a lot of people were speculating, oh, man, like, Ed's gonna be the boxer archetype in this game. So, like, we're probably not gonna get Balrog or Dudley sometime in the future, but, I was watching Maximilian reacting to, like, how he plays, right? Ed plays more like a zoner. Shockingly.
That's interesting.
Like, cause he has, like, these flicker abilities where he sends psycho energy like out like at a distance like a whip with his punches. So like he has this whole like ranged boxer type thing. And then the term outboxer came up. And I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense, and it would actually be really cool if we got all three of them.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the weapon triangle, quote unquote, of boxing, it's outboxer, slugger, and swarmer. And by their designs and how they played like throughout the series of Street Fighter, Ed has become an outboxer to Balrog slugger to Dudley swarmer.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So even if all three of them got into the game as boxer characters, they would not play the same in the slightest. Which I think would be sick, honestly. And I'll admit I'm a little biased because I really want Dudley back.
Like, which one was like Mike Tyson, where he like kind of just destroyed people in the first 2 rounds?
Balrog.
Yeah, like what is that, a swarmer?
No, Slugger.
That's a slugger.
Slugger is basically, I'm gonna slug you so hard, I'm gonna go for a KO.
Yeah.
Swarmers are, I'm gonna be in your face, I'm gonna rush you down, I'm gonna get you with, like, little hits, use my small stature to bob and weave away from your attacks, and I'm just gonna wear you out. Outboxer is, okay, I got long limbs, I got long attacks, I'm gonna stay out of your range. I'm gonna tire you out. I'm gonna hit you with my long reach, and you're not gonna be able to get to me. It's how Muhammad Ali fights.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Muhammad-
exactly what I was
Yeah,
thinking of, yeah.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali is like the quintessential example of an outboxer.
That, like, you look at Mike Tyson versus Muhammad Ali, and both had very illustrious records, but Mike Tyson, most of his wins were in the first 2 rounds.
Yep.
And most of Muhammad Ali's wins were in the 3rd or later
Yeah.
rounds, because he had people...
Trying to reach for him.
Yeah, trying to reach for him and getting exhausted, and then after they were tired, Ali would come in and wreck their face.
Pretty much.
Balrog, Tyson would just scare the fuck out of you.
Yeah, because for all intents and purposes, like, there's a reason that people were worried about the likes of Tyson, and the reason for that is because, yeah, his punches could literally kill you.
Yeah.
Like, all he needed was one really, really well-landed punch, and you were down.
What I really like is in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, the original, he actually does fight like that, too. He gets easier to damage and less aggressive as the fight goes on.
Yep. Oh, look at that. So yeah, we're trusting Vanessa with this?
Yes.
You got the Philly shield up? 1734. Well done! Good stuff, Vanessa! And there we go. Shadow Shot's off the board. That might be a problem, though.
I think it's fine. It's just...
We do have a rescue staff in the convoy, if we want to not take chances.
I mean, we haven't done anything else with it, so...
Like, why not, right?
Sure.
Let me see how I can do this. Where are you, Natasha? Okay. Natasha can come over here. So... Where are you, Erica? Okay, Erica, come over here. Natasha. Supply. Give the restore staff. Take the rescue.
Can't reach.
Ah.
Is Tethys moved yet?
No,
Yes.
Tethys already moved.
Okay.
It was worth a shot. Well,
Yeah.
we're just gonna have to trust her then.
I think she'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I trust she'll be fine too, but you know, I'm just like, you know, better safe than sorry type of person.
There's two, like, if you want to call it that, martial art, like, countdowns I think would be interesting to do sometime.
Yeah.
And one of them is a top 10 boxers.
Oh yeah, like, I would love to do a top 10 boxers countdown, especially because, like, that would be my personal opportunity, right? To talk about the history of boxing, because quite frankly, I think the history of boxing is fascinating. Like, I think the sport is, like, super, super cool once you get down to the nitty-gritty of it.
Yeah.
Um...
Isn't, Abel also a boxer? Street Fighter 4?
Oh, Abel.
Abel.
No, not Abel is not a boxer. He is for all intents and purposes, he is a judo fighter.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, because he's all about the grapples. He's all about the rolls. He's all about the you know, get in your face and just like grab you and slam you into the ground type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the only real boxers in Street Fighter are Dudley, Balrog, and now Ed.
The other one I think would be really fun to do is a top 10 luchadores.
Like, even, like, if you want to, like, go further with that, like, top 10 wrestlers in general,
Yeah.
honestly. Because, like, you know, there's that whole... It's actually kind of funny because, like, I think we can, like, still do luchadores as a separate thing because there is that whole cultural aspect of it.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, they can easily be slotted into wrestlers because, like, what are luchadores but, like, Mexican wrestlers for all intents and purposes? They're a lot more
Yeah.
showy, don't get me wrong, but it's wrestling. It's showy.
I would probably want to count just like any masked wrestler. Because I know Japanese wrestling also uses masks, which like...
That is very true, actually.
I would take El Fuerte over Armika for a
For a wrestler.
luchador.
Or for a luchador, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if we're talking wrestler from Street Fighter, it's gotta be Zangief.
Then you got characters like Greco from Chrono Cross, where it's like, okay, this is a masked wrestler
Nice, Vanessa!
in a fantasy world. You can kind of argue whether or not they're based more on a Mexican wrestler or a Japanese wrestler.
Mm-hmm. And, yeah, like, there's also, I know King of Fighters has a lot of wrestlers. It's actually kind of fascinating how many there are.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like, Angel is technically considered a wrestler. So is what's that one guy? His name's Ramon.
Yeah.
Ramon is also a wrestler. Raiden is also a wrestler who's like one of Geese's henchmen. If I were to say like which one of them is a true luchador, though, it would probably be Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Because like Dinosaur straight up like has the whole shebang. He has the whole dinosaur costume, the like the wrestling like dinosaur mask and everything. Another classic example, King.
Yeah.
Like King is like pure example of a Mexican wrestler. I admittedly went the longest time for a while with Tekken, not knowing that King was Mexican.
I went a really long time with Tekken thinking King was actually, like, like a jaguar.
Like, you didn't think the mask... Like, you thought the mask head was real?
He roars sometimes.
He doesn't talk!
Sometimes I think Tekken thinks he's actually a jaguar.
Honestly, though, you're not wrong, because, like, when you have the likes of someone like Panda...
Yeah.
And, like, Kuma...
Like, is that so ridiculous?
It's really not.
Like, I
and
didn't think
that's
he was a literal jaguar, but I thought maybe he was some kind of jaguar man.
he's some kind of, like, feline, like, beast man type thing. Honestly, like, I wouldn't even put it past
You got
him.
Jack, who's a cyborg. You got a kangaroo in boxing gloves.
Yeah, Jack. Oh my god, yeah, you're right. Like, dude, I freaking love Tekken because it's Tekken. I love the way we described it in our top 10 fighting games. Right, Tekken is like Tekken devotes itself wholeheartedly to realism while having some of the most surreal bullshit we've ever seen, and we all love it for it.
It's funny to me how a lot of the most popular characters though in Tekken are just like big burly dudes.
That is true.
Like Dragunov and stuff.
Yeah, like, oh, dude, Dragunov scares me. Like, straight up, Dragunov terrifies the hell out of me. I've been watching, competitive tournaments with, Tekken, right?
Yeah.
And, like, the character I see the most right now in terms of, like, who's, like, top tier is Victor. Victor Chevalier. The, secret agent dude from France. And it's honestly kind of awesome.
I know a lot of people aren't crazy about Coffee Girl.
Azucena?
Yeah. Like, they like her, but they just don't like the personality.
It's kind of a mix, because it's like, you know, Azucena is definitely, like, very over the top. Like, let's not kid ourselves. She is super, like, she wears her character archetype on her sleeve.
Yeah.
Like, she loves coffee, she loves, like, you know, being, like, peppy and, like, you know, very fun and everything, and she's just all coffee. And yeah, some people, like, if I may get on my soapbox a little bit here.
Yeah.
The people who don't like it take Tekken too seriously.
Okay, alright.
I'm just gonna be honest right now. Because it's like, if you're going into Tekken not expecting someone to be batshit insane about their character archetype, you're not playing the right game, pal. Like, we have a bear who, like, fishes out a tuna out of the river and it turns into a goddamn rocket.
I guess just, like, we've had 7 mainline entries to get used to this bear, and Coffee Girl, like, we aren't used to yet. That, like, I feel like can make it tough to, like, give a character a fair shake.
I'll grant you that. I suppose the reason it doesn't bug me is because of the fact that, like, one, like, I understand, like, how, like, Tekken kind of works in that regard of, like, oh yeah, we're just gonna bring in something silly and just be silly with it, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I do feel like there are, like, some aspects where Tekken takes itself way too seriously. Like, obviously, like, the Mishima family is just absolute craziness.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I don't know, I guess, like, I never saw the roster of Tekken as, like, needing to have, like, all serious characters. I like the fact that we get some, like, silly stuff.
Yeah.
Like, freaking Paul Phoenix exists.
Yeah, I like Elisa Bosanovich with her chainsaw arms.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, is that her last name, Bosanovich?
It's something like that. It's like a hard to pronounce Russian last name.
Huh.
But I think she's literally like a android.
I know she's an android, like, straight up. I just never knew. I guess it's because she's an android, I never thought she had a last name.
Yes.
Huh. Go figure. Okay, what do you guys have? You got... Oi! Glad I spotted that. Steel axe. Short bow. Interesting.
Makes sense. He's like a centaur.
And halberd. Okay, straight up, I'm just gonna have you go ahead and bait a lot of this. You're all the way down here, so we're good. But yeah, I will say this, like, actually, truthfully speaking for a moment, right?
Yeah.
If you don't like Azucena because she's, like, super over the top, I get it. Like, I do get why. I'm just the type of person who's like, oh, I'm all for this because this is, like, so silly and dumb, but I like it because it's silly and dumb.
Maybe
you know?
it's that it's like too one note, like.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think you make a good point.
Yeah, I can understand, like, I can understand the logic behind that. Like, again, I just, like, I don't mind it, personally.
Yeah.
But I understand if, like, some people are not gonna be too into that because of that reason.
Like, Street Fighter had characters like El Fuerte, who are kind of, you know, not every character is going to be super three-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
El Fuerte was kind of silly. He was a luchador chef. Those were his two things.
Yeah. Street Fighter has a lot of weird characters. But, I also will say, Asusena has a lot of competition in Tekken 8 because they introduced a lot of really amazing characters in Tekken 8. I already mentioned Victor Chevalier.
Yeah.
Like, really, really cool secret agent dude who trained the, who apparently trained the, you know, the Ravens.
Okay.
So,
The
like,
Raven Assassins.
Yeah, the Raven Assassins, so he has that whole thing going, which is really, really cool. And then you have Reina, who, I don't know if, like, I'm just gonna say right now, warning to the audience listening in, we're in regards to spoilers for the story of Tekken 8, but, the game's been out for a while, and, like, this is kind of, like, old news at this point, so I don't think it'll be too big of a deal. Reina not only is a really, really cool character in her own right, she also is kind of like the continuation of, the Mishima style karate.
Okay.
Because, she apparently has connections to Heihachi, who's dead now.
Cool.
But, like, yeah, she does the whole, like, you know, she has her own style of, like, Mishima karate. She does the electric wind god fist. She does, like, that weird, like, hand palm thing that Heihachi does in some of her combos.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has Heihachi's fighting style. Which, like, it's kind of funny because it's like, this is what your main about Tekken 8 says about you. If you chose either Reina or Kuma, you're basically like, yeah, you miss Heihachi.
I like when fighting games do that too, when there's like spiritual successors to characters, or like, people who. It makes me feel a little bit bad for Soul Calibur 5 that we didn't give it more,
yeah.
but I think Soul Calibur 5 tried to do too much all at once.
I agree. Soul Calibur 5 was, like, unfortunate in a lot of its design philosophy.
Yeah.
Which, again, like, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, like, they didn't make just spiritual successors to, like, these characters. No, they botched, or like, they completely cut out, like, a lot of the
They
roster.
were like, hey, you like Zhenghua? This is Zhenghua now.
Mm-hmm. But, like, again, like, I like how certain other games did it. Like, you know, we got the likes of Cassie Cage and Jackie in Mortal Kombat, but we still had Jax. We still had Johnny Cage. We still had Sonya.
Yep.
Street Fighter 6, I think, is doing it really well because we still have Ryu, but let's be real for a moment. The poster boy for Street Fighter 6 is Luke.
Yeah.
And Luke also has a very similar style. Like, you know, he has a projectile with a sandblast. He has an uppercut. He has a burst movement option with a shoulder tackle. He's a Shoto. So, yeah. Bottom line, I love fighting games, and I think they're awesome.
I need to make a demand of Capcom.
Yeah?
That enough is enough. I demand...
Wait, how's a Sword Slayer... How did the swords... He has a...
No, he just hit really hard. He's just really strong, I guess.
But the Sword Slayer was blinking. It was affecting him. What? Huh?
Yeah, that's,
He had a steel axe. What?
Yeah, that... I'd like to call shenanigans on that.
I'm totally calling shenanigans on that. What was that?
I think we're gonna be okay.
I think we're gonna be okay too, but what?
There's a short bow coming up, but besides that, I think we're gonna be okay. I don't know if the short bow can even reach Garrick. Okay, I can.
He's fine.
Can't damage.
Someone in the comments explain that one to me, because what?
Is there like a weird exploit where it assumes based on class?
That's what I'm thinking. But it's like, what? Huh? Explain, game.
Did you know gaming? No, I didn't. I don't know gaming.
What the hell was that? Game, please explain to me. That was not right.
You're off the hook now, Capcom. I have bigger fish to fry.
What did you want to demand of Capcom? I'm sorry.
It's been long enough. We need Sean back.
Hell yeah.
What is going on that Sean hasn't been in another game?
Especially because they referenced him in the previous game.
He showed up for Street Fighter V and wasn't playable.
Just not strong enough, Joshua. Yeah, Joshua's strength is like has fallen off a bit. I've noticed. Not too badly though, so like I'm not gonna like make a big stink about it.
What made me think about it is how you said how like Luke is the poster boy.
Yeah.
You know, Ryu's still the main character of the series. Though I guess the guy who was supposed to be the main character of
Street Fighter 3
was Alex.
Yeah. Again, a lot of it is like like maybe it's like some of it is like also the timing because like we're a little more accepting of that sort of thing now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like a new generation like added Ryu and Ken at last minute, and that kind of like didn't sit well with a lot of people.
Yeah, because so the story goes, fans were upset at news of the upcoming Street Fighter 3
Yeah.
First Impact because of the completely new cast. Which,
Yeah. A new generation.
yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah, you're thinking Second Impact.
Second Impact and then Third Strike.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, go on.
Just I'm trying to think. I guess that wouldn't really be a good move nowadays either to like do a completely new cast of any given game, but like I don't know, like Pokemon Black and White did that and I really like that. When Pokemon Black and White came in with an entirely new Pokedex until after you roll credits.
Yeah, I guess the main reason for that is because there's a difference between a fighting game roster and a Pokemon like Pokedex, you know what I mean? Like when it comes to Pokemon, there's only so long until like you can like keep on making these until it gets to the point where it's like, you know, the point of no return type of thing, you know what I mean?
I guess my counter argument
Yeah.
is that like yeah, maybe like you know, we would all miss Blanca, we would all miss Guile, we would all miss Zangief, but they weren't really going anywhere because Street Fighter Alpha was going at the time too.
That is true, actually.
So like, it's not like those characters disappeared.
Mm-hmm. That's a compelling argument, actually.
And if you... This isn't really a good way to look at it anymore because Street Fighter 1 is so, like, irrelevant. But, like, Street Fighter 2 was pretty much a complete cast reboot from Street Fighter 1. With minor exceptions.
Yeah, I suppose, like, the main counter-argument there is that, like, Street Fighter 1 was just so unbelievably, like, irrelevant. Like, a lot of people consider Street Fighter 2 the start of the franchise for all intents and purposes. Like, not to say that, like, Street Fighter 1 was, like, unimportant, mind you. Like, you know, we all had to start somewhere. But if I may make a comparison, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a Team Fortress 2 scenario.
Yeah.
Like, straight up.
Definitely true. And, like, Street Fighter 1, I don't think the game was, like, maligned at the time or anything, because there weren't better fighting games yet, but I don't think it had a huge fan base either.
Not really. And again, they were just starting things out.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 2 is when they finally, like, hashed things out in terms of mechanics, and, like, even by today's standards, it's still good. Which is not something a lot of games can say, if I may be honest with you. Okay, no, a lot of games can say that, but, like, it's kind of an exclusive club, if that makes any sense.
Maybe not a lot of fighting games.
Yeah, not a lot of fighting games now. Because, like, well, I don't know, Soul Blade was pretty good, for all things considered.
Oh, I know you saw it because I sent it to you.
Yeah.
But I want to tell the people at home. I got so obsessed by this video. It's like a 2-hour video documentary on the competitive scene around the fighting game Sonic the Fighters.
Oh, yeah.
so interesting to me because that's a game that like most people just completely write off.
Yeah.
But apparently there has been this like underground scene for the game.
Yeah, like I was actually like you showed me that video, right? And I took a look at it and I was like, "Oh my god, where is all this love for Sonic the Fighters coming from?" Because like that game was something, let me tell you.
And it's interesting to see them like talking about the like evolving meta of the series because it is a game that is a little janky, but it's also like pretty it's pretty predictable. Like things go the same ways multiple. You just it was something that a lot of people hadn't really taken the time to learn because there wasn't a huge community around it like there was with most Capcom and SNK fighting games.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it started as like basically an idea because Sonic was Sega's most popular thing in the US, but in Japan it's not that Sonic wasn't popular, but Sega's presence in Japan was all about the arcades.
Yeah.
Especially Virtua Fighter and other there are still arcades in Japan that are all Sega. They are an arcade company there. So I guess Sonic the Fighters like started as a way to like kind of bridge that gap.
Okay.
To say like, A, can we get Sonic bigger in Japan, and B, can we get Virtua Fighter bigger in the US?
Yeah. Because like Virtua Fighter is also it's not a franchise that took off as well as like, you know, the likes of Street Fighter, obviously. But it's still very, very much respected among the fighting game community for all intents and purposes,
and especially in Japan.
Oh, absolutely! Like they are heavy on Virtua Fighter down there.
And yeah, so I mean, it's a very small game, and everybody just kind of wrote it off. It was originally supposed to have arcade cabinets in the U.S. that just like didn't. It didn't have a strong opening in Japan, and then they just canceled a lot of plans in the US and Europe. So I don't think it was ever even translated into English until the Sonic Gems collection.
Oh, wow.
Which is where a lot of people first learned about it.
Same.
And then it got more of a scene when the HD editions came out on Xbox Arcade and PlayStation 3 Arcade. But yeah, it's just funny. There's only 8 playable characters.
Yep.
I think the HD edition added like a 9th character, and technically you can also play as Robotnik. But
yeah, that's right.
He's usually banned because he's a boss character. And Metal Sonic, who's usually banned because he's a boss character.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Does Reeve move?
Does Reeve move? I don't think so.
I don't think he does either, but I'm just covering my ass here, you know?
I'm gonna say I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but again, covering my ass.
But it's just really interesting to see them build this weird meta around when there's so few moving parts.
Yeah, that's true.
Like nothing. The meta changes so many times, even though there's no updates to the game happening.
Okay, let me look at the patch notes. Still blank.
Yeah. Like at the very beginning, it was all Sonic and Knuckles were the 2 best characters.
Yeah.
Who were the joke was Sonic is like Ryu and Tails is like Ken, but Knuckles is like Akuma.
Okay.
But Sonic still saw play because he was like a little bit faster, and the way blocking works in that game, you have barriers.
Yeah, that's right.
That
similar to Smash Brothers.
Yeah, but your barriers don't replenish when they get broken over the course of rounds. So besides just trying to win the round, sometimes it's not worth busting all of your barriers to win a round.
Okay.
So there's this weird like long-term goal over it. But then like one of the first tournaments there ever is, I everybody's playing Sonic and Knuckles, and one person comes in with Espio, and is using Espio has like a tongue lash attack that has range, and he's like bullying everybody with zoning. And in the final round, somebody counterpicks him with Fang, and they have this crazy zoning fight in Sonic the Fighters that nobody thought was possible.
That's wild.
And then people start fooling around more with there's like a wall climb jump off the wall mechanic, and that has certain iframes, and people start screwing around with that, and people figure out you can manually turn yourself around to face the other way, and that makes you resistant to certain grabs.
Mm-hmm.
So people start weaponizing that. And Tails comes back with a vengeance because he's the smallest character, he has the smallest hitbox, but it gets really small whenever he does his sidestep move, and he has a lot of little moves that come out of sidestep. So then people start coming in with like untouchable Tails strategies.
Yeah, Sonic the Fighters was an interesting beast, for better or worse. But like, no, like that's kind of like a bit reminiscent of like how a lot of like fighting games developed. Even though there weren't any updates, but like, you know, people kept figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of it had to do with like, oh, like suddenly like you're trying to like incorporate this, which is like super interesting. One of the better examples, like if I recall correctly, was Vanilla Marvel 3, right?
Yeah.
There was like this tournament that was going on, and like, you know, people were using like the superpower characters and all that. I don't remember entirely who was like OP in Vanilla Marvel. I know Sentinel was, certainly. Phoenix, obviously, because of like the Phoenix bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I remember a lot of Dark Phoenix.
Oh my, Dark Phoenix is still busted. Like, absolutely. But I remember like a couple of times like people come up with like these crazy strategies. One of my favorite moments from Vanilla Marvel tournaments is PR Balrog came in and did this like really cool like comeback with Trombon. Because like Trombon has some like wonky hitboxes with the way she spins around and everything.
Yeah.
And he won the tournament with her level 3 command grab, which a lot of people considered bad, but he made it work. And it was like super cool. One of my favorite moments. Speaking of level 3 command grabs, do you want to know the one super in Marvel 3 that people consider if you use it, you lose the game?
Like, if you're the one using it, you lose,
Yeah.
or your opponent loses because you use it on them?
No, if you use it, you basically just lost the game.
I don't know who.
Sentinel. Or not Sentinel, Nemesis.
Okay, why is that?
Nemesis has bar none the worst level 3 in the entire game. Because it's a command grab, but it comes out like...
It's a lot of tendrils, right?
It's a lot of tendrils, but it's like, it comes out like 13 frames.
That's a lot of frames.
That's a lot of frames. I think it's 13 frames, but it's somewhere around there, right? It comes out like after so many frames, you have to be in their face. Like, for all the tentacles he has, you have to be in their face in order to land this thing.
It's like, man, what was Jill so scared of?
And it's not invincible. There is 0 invincibility on this super.
So they just get 13 frames to punish you.
Pretty much. You want to know a character who has a level 3 command grab super that actually has some invincibility? Hagar.
Well, Hagar is just the greatest video game character of all time.
That's actually something I really enjoy about Marvel 3 as well. Like the heavies get a lot of attention in Marvel 3. Hagar, Sentinel, Hulk. You see a lot of Hulk.
Marvel, as somebody who's never going to be that good at fighting games, part of what I like so much about Marvel 3 is just the inherent sense of humor in it.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was able to have a sense of humor, but still, you know, be a competitive game.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Marvel Infinite lost a lot of that. Like, it still had Hagar and Arthur, and
yeah, but it was
still
just
had
so
some
dry.
funny characters, but yeah.